Sports with Duff and the always late John Bobolic. Professor Duffy, it is fabulous seeing you here again today, buddy. Welcome aboard.
It's been a long time, Jason.
I know it has. These cold weather days have put a big kibosh on so much that we were doing. But the weather's subsided. We've been able to get out. Time for us to get back into the mix of everything and get our shows rolling. So back into the wagon, back into the saddle, and time now to be talking some sports, especially some exciting Potter action as our basketball team has just about wrapped up the regular season. We got a game coming up this night, which is against Minerva, which will be senior night, and a couple great games just in the last couple days. One of them saw a milestone for one of our players, and we also have seen the Potters be able to go in action on the road and be able to really turn up the heat and show that their prowess out there is going to possibly propel them deep into the OVAC. Came up just short of winning the Buckeye 8 with a loss against St. Clairsville. So it was a little bit of a heartbreaker there, but it was a great game. Put forth an incredible effort out there on the floor, but taking a great record in the OVACs, and then, Bob, stepping into the playoffs.
Well, they won a close game last night, I think by 4 points, was it?
Against, 4 points.
Harrison.
Yes, sir.
And then since haven't been on the air, Gabe Roach, of course, went over the 1,000-point mark.
He certainly did, and we have a special little thing to show a lot of our viewers here in just a few minutes about Gabe scoring those points and making that 1,000 point. How elite is it to score 1,000 points in your high school career, Bob?
Well, in the old days it was a little tougher, but with the 3-point, it's certainly 3-point line has helped some of these players. So
it definitely has, but the thing that gets me when we talk about
still an accomplishment, quite an accomplishment.
You got that right, and I was just absolutely blown away when he pulled that off and was able to make it. Came into the game 26 points away from his 1,000th point. That was quite a standard to try and fit into one game, and he was not fed that ball in order to make it. He pulled that together himself. And that, to me, was an amazing thing to be able to do.
Yeah, he's not a selfish player. He distributes the ball, and he shoots when his opportunity is there. So,
and that's the best thing about it. And so many of those points came along the foul line, having him able to put those in. That made a huge, huge difference. Huge difference. Going up into the foul line, being able to put that together. And like I say, as we're talking right now, we're preparing a special foul for you so that folks are going to be able to just take a look at exactly what Gabe did that very night. The Potters will be heading in against Minerva on this Friday. And are Minerva bringing that big of a squad in? Is it a tough game, Bob?
I haven't really followed Minerva basketball. I don't think they're an outstanding team, but it's one the Potters could certainly compete with and hopefully come up with another win.
I hear that. It would be great for them to be able to grab a hold of that win and make it happen. And that way, when they're able to grab that win and push it forward, we've got ourselves yet another thing to put another feather in the cap of the Potters, finishing up a season with a very big turnaround record from last year, and have that record now really established as being one that shows a program that has made a huge rebound. So with the Potters having that ability to be able to make things happen, it's up to us to be able to put that together and have it ready to go for our folks to be able to understand that the Potters, with a good record, turning around that, are building onto a program that's being fed by a better program in the 8th grade, better program in the 7th grade, and then it also begins with a lot of the lower grades with some of the basketball, learning the skills and keeping it going. Bob, you said a long time ago that it begins at a young age, the love of the game and the playing of the game. Talk to me about what should happen and what can happen in this town and community to possibly foster more opportunity for kids to be able to play in that off season, during the summertime, during the fall. What can be done?
Well, you're facing a decreasing population here. I'm going back to the times when East Liverpool had, say, 34,000 people. We're down to between 11 and 10,000 now.
Yeah.
And the school, of course, the school enrollment also that reflects on that, and you just don't have as many kids. Just develop a program, have a summer program. I think Nate's already done that. He has allowed so many scrimmages during the summer, and he goes along with that.
Yeah.
And I think the interest is here. There's definitely a lot of depth. There's a lot of freshmen, sophomores coming up, and the junior high level, 7th and 8th grades, they're not doing too bad. But I think there's something to look forward to in the next couple of years.
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to be something really special to look forward to. And my thing about being able to see this come into fruition is it's something that we have wanted to see for such a long time. Being able to have the Potters ready to roll and have such a program that is going to be repeated and to build upon success is a great thing that they need to be ready to do and that they're willing to make happen, you know. And that to me is a huge thing for us to be able to do, is to have that type of a feedback and have that type of opportunity to go with. Now, Bob, I'm going to share something with our folks. It took a couple minutes for me to prepare that, and I hope that they understand exactly what we've been working on here. And put this over here in the corner, Bob, and what we got happening right here is this is posted on our YouTube channel right now, and this is the Gabe countdown to 1,000. We'll start this guy from the beginning, and we'll go ahead and let it play through. And as you can see, a lot of the time, Gabe was putting that ball in there, and this is one of the best things that happened here, building that up, coming all the way in at 26 points down. He's able to build that all the way through and get it up into the point range. At 986 points with layup after layup coming in, Gabe was really making it happen out onto the court, and it played well. And proud, so very proud of him being able to make those type of changes out onto the court. And this, to me, is one of the better plays. He's coming up onto the points here, Bob, and he makes the last foul shot. He's able to put that in, and on the rebound coming up, we see an amazing play for him to tip it back to himself and almost make that 1,000th point on a layup, but instead he makes a foul, and that is where your fouls really come from. And here's the play right here. The shot, he's in, 999, tips the inbound pass, gets fouled trying to turn. He's 1 point away from 1,000 right there. And then with the one foul shot left, Gabe approaches the line, is fed the ball. Talk about some pressure, but he just cools his jets, focuses, and releases. And there it is, 1,000 points right on the floor.
How much time was left in the game at that point?
At that point in the game, we were down to about a minute plus left in the game.
Okay.
Yep. So pretty amazing what he was able to do. Great celebration out onto the floor, and it was fabulous watching those guys be able to pull that off. Absolutely fantastic, earning that 1,000th point right there onto the floor with the Potters. Nice milestone. And it does happen more often now with the three-point line and what's going on, but to make it under pressure like that, foul shot after foul shot, and staying consistent with it, that to me shows good concentration and a dedication to his task. Congratulations, Gabe, and I hope the best, and we'll be seeing just what the future might hold for Gabe in the days to come with this, and might be off to the college ranks with that, and to see if basketball is something that he could be able to play into the future. That would be wonderful to see him continue that out there.
He has a good three-point shot, and he could play small college somewhere.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Great jumping ability.
He does, and is staying inside the game, feeding the ball, not being one that wants to have the spotlight on him, but instead share that with as many as possible, to me, is the best that's out there. And talking about college ranks, Bob, We take a look at the top 10 that's out there under the AP coaches poll right now. There's been a little bit of a shakeup with inside of the college ranks. We've watched a total implosion happen down at West Virginia. We know that he doesn't have the horses. We know that he doesn't have the amount and depth off of the bench that Huggins is so used to having. But now injuries have compounded onto the team, and West Virginia has just been a big disappointment this year. Coming into the ranks.
Team without really without leadership like they had last year. Carter was there, and some of them they graduated, but they had some leadership last year and some character. But this year seems to be lacking.
And yeah, you lose a couple guys because of injury, and the next thing you know, that's it. They drop off the board, and we lose them completely. So go take a look at the top 10 inside of men's basketball and NCAA. We're taking a look at the AP top 25, and according to that poll, in the top 10 position, it is Marquette. At 9, Michigan State. 8 is North Carolina. Michigan holds on to the 7th position, while Nevada is just ahead of them with a 21-1 record, up 2 positions, still with a great record, but not getting all the love that they should. Just a lack of strength of schedule right there for Nevada to move forward. University of Kentucky is holding on to the 5th position, while Gonzaga takes over 4, Virginia at 3, and then the big contenders. Duke at 10-2 holds on to the 2nd position, while Tennessee is still number 1 at 20-1. Bob, have you seen Tennessee in action?
Yes, I have. I saw. I saw them last night. They're resilient. It's a good team. But you got a big game coming up Saturday at 6 o'clock. Between Duke and Virginia. That game's at Virginia, and Virginia played Duke a 2-point win. Duke won by 2 points at Durham earlier in the season, a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
But they got them at Virginia this Saturday. It should be a tremendous game.
It's going to be absolutely an amazing thing to watch those two square off with each other.
And last night, Michigan State was upset by Illinois. Illinois is kind of a doormat to the Big Ten, but they upset Michigan State last night. So
another great game we saw over the weekend, too. Saw another upset happen against Michigan, and that being led by Indiana coming on and playing strong against those teams. It gives me a glimmer of hope of watching the programs that aren't getting a lot of the spotlight, that when they hit that floor, it doesn't matter who you are or what the ranking says in front of your school name. They're going to give it all they have and fight to the very end on that to see what's going to happen with it. Duke, Virginia, who do you see coming out the winner on that one, Bob?
That's a real tough call. I mean, the game being at Virginia and the way they played Duke, I'd like to see Virginia kind of handle them, just to shake up things a little bit in the top 5 in the college ranks.
We watch an amazing thing happen. A lot of attention being given to Zion Williamson and what he has done, and it's nothing short of amazing watching him play. But he is but one of 4 major stars out of those starting 5 that take the floor, share the ball, run with a type of a flow that is just amazing. But if you can disrupt that flow, that movement of the ball down the court, that is where you can beat Duke. The times that they have lost, it is 2 games that slowed their game of play down. They spread the floor on them. Syracuse did an insane job of holding them away from the basket. Now, yeah, they were playing without Williamson, but you watched a team play a strong defense and a great offense that was willing to work that shot clock down to the last few seconds and squeeze the life out of the team, hold on to that small lead, and keep pushing it forward.
You're talking about the Syracuse game?
The Syracuse game, absolutely.
Well, Boeheim throws that zone defense at them.
Yeah.
And you better be hitting some threes or you're going to go down like they did.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. Now, Tennessee, the resiliency that you said about Tennessee, talk to me a little bit about what you see so special out on the floor with them.
A very balanced team. There's no one star on that team. It's to me a very balanced group of kids, and they know what they've accomplished so far. They know they can do that, and they're going to be tough come NCAA tournament time.
All right. Tennessee's going to be holding on to that number one position, I see, in the very near future for the simple fact that they are playing with a chip on their shoulder every game, that no one is expecting anything from them, so they're going to take it from you. And they don't care who you are walking on the court. And now that they are top dog, I don't see that changing, because now they know everyone's gunning for them.
Right. A big factor is playing on a opponent's court in basketball. The home court means so much. When you can play decent games and win away, you're accomplishing quite a bit.
Absolutely. And some of their places, saying they're hostile is an understatement. And that's one thing I like to tip a hat to the fans of college basketball and that home court type of advantage. What a fun time watching the fans, having a good time, cheering on their squad, keeping it clean, but having so much fun and making it loud. Like anyone could walk into the Jayhawks floor and take it away from Kansas's fans. I mean, you've got to be on your game if it's close and you can keep yourself together and win against those fan base out there, because they turn that place into an absolute chaotic event. Even Pittsburgh with the Oakland Zoo down in the Peterson Event Center. What a great place to see a game. What a loud place to try to see a game. And when it is rocking, that place is unbelievable. Tennessee, they've done it. They've done it all but once.
So what makes the NCAA so good, the NCAA tournament, all games are played on neutral courts.
Right.
So you got, fair advantage on that opening tip-off. So.
You got that right. That's very nice, That's very nice. That's the way that the standings sit with the NCAA, with the top 10 as of right now with inside the men's ranks. And we would be remiss if we didn't step back in time and talk about the events of this last Sunday, what took place in Atlanta, Georgia, as the New England Patriots and the Los Angeles Rams squared off against each other in what baffled many people but didn't surprise me one bit. When suddenly we watched two high-scoring, fast-moving offenses slug it out in a defensive battle and a lot of miscues. Anytime so much is given to one side of a game, it always seems to be the reverse takes over. Everyone wanted to see a gigantic display of offense, a high-scoring game, lots of excitement of the ball moving up and down that field like crazy, and instead we were in an absolute old-fashioned, punch-in-the-mouth slugfest football game. Were you impressed or depressed after that game?
The Super Bowl reminded me of a hockey game. Dull and very little scoring. That's my only comment.
That's your only comment on that. You'd have rather gone to a hockey game. That's saying that is a huge comment for those who are thinking about the rankings of the Super Bowl performance this year coming from one Bob Duffy. If you're ranked with inside the hockey ranks with him, buddy, the basement's a good place to be. Simple as that. One thing I noticed about that game, a very lack of the flags. Do you think it's a direct result from what happened in the playoffs?
What's that again?
A lack of the flags. A lot of penalties went uncalled. A lot of things did not interrupt.
They kept them in their pockets. Yeah. A couple times I thought there'd be a flag, and in the regular season it probably would have been, but here is Super Bowl, and they'd held them. So
direct result.
I thought the officiating was good because there wasn't a flag every other play.
Right.
But it was handled well as far as that goes. You go back to, of course, to the New Orleans Los Angeles game and the great controversy over the non-call. That was absolutely a black eye for the NFL and their officiating crew and everybody concerned.
When that happens and a game is over and it's so obvious that something's blown and we just lived it and we noticed that what happened was nothing.
Right. What I could not understand, it's a great contradiction of the NFL when they find the Los Angeles player that actually committed the foul, the head-to-head, and plus he got there before the ball,
right,
and made contact, and the NFL fined him $27,000 for his actions. Okay, it's a non-call. How can they fine him when it's not even a call? That to me was a very blatant contradiction.
Well, it's also something that would any court of law would say, well, you've got your exact evidence. You didn't call it a penalty, so therefore, how can you fine me?
There were no charges filed.
Right, no charges were filed, exactly, and yet you're still going to fine me. So, the NFL in the future, is there a way to fix this, or is it just simply let's go back to school, let's get the officials back onto the same page with a tougher type of a schooling as to what is and what isn't, and then hold them accountable throughout the season? You make a bad call, bang, here's your fine of $27,000 for making a bad call.
I believe a man up in the booth upstairs could overrule such a non-call. I think that's the only way to handle it right at the time. You can't replay the game. We know that.
Right.
But
you can say that the call upstairs is under the play upstairs is under review.
After extreme review, the guy upstairs could consult with the referee of the game and then change that call.
So therefore, take what the NCAA has been doing and kind of vamp it up a little bit. That allows for them to say, okay, we had a non-call. This affected the outcome of the play, and this must be addressed.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, something else that I'm going to share out there with the viewers and our listeners, if you notice, they have the headsets, and they are talking with each other all the time. I could also see that an official, a crew chief, if you want to call it, placed in the booth, is able to come on to that comm and be able to say to the line judge, hey, 58 has committed 2 blatant fouls. You're about to end up in a fight down there if you don't grab a hold of that situation. Keep your eye on that situation and see what's going on. That way, the next play, 58, whether he's on offense or he's on defense, that line judge is able to take a look at that and see what's going on down there in the trenches. Is something getting just a little bit across the line? We know we got to let them play. We know we got to let football be football. But at the same time, it has to be something that doesn't just take things away. And that one will go down in the history books always as taking away a great chance, because I'm convinced that 110%, that would have been the New Orleans Saints playing the New England Patriots in that Super Bowl at that time.
I think another thing that the NFL overlooked in that game in their assignment of the officials, 4 of those officials were from Southern California.
Can you see ties? Do you think it would play into that?
I'm not making any charges either way.
Yeah.
I'm just citing that they were from Southern California, and it was an oversight to me on the part of the NFL.
Right. They made that oversight, and they need to be able to fix it.
Right.
We take this back 2 years ago. We're in a playoff game, a last of the season game, going to position teams for their playoffs, whether they have home field advantage, whether they have the first week bye, what have you. Pittsburgh, New England go into the game together. Pittsburgh has what appears to be a touchdown. It is then rolled over. They then said later, we made a mistake. They even made a change to the rule book, and it was referred to for a long time called the Jesse James rule, where he caught the ball, it passed the line, and then he lost control of it after it struck the ground. And they said
he crossed. The play ends when he crossed the line.
Exactly.
Okay. The following year, they changed the rule.
The following year, they changed their rule.
Did that help the Steelers? No.
Right. That didn't help them. Not crying or anything like that because I'm a Steeler fan, but saying that you make a decision then and you understand that you have a consistent problem with no calls or the wrong call on the field. And then the following year, you're at a pivotal point yet again deciding who's going to the Super Bowl, which changes lives, by the way. One of the greatest comments made about that entire thing was made by a player that tweeted out, you have to get your game together, the officials. Says, these games change lives, and they do. You end up going to the Super Bowl as a player, that could change your entire life if you're on that winning team, a good opportunity to play. You've made it to the Super Bowl. That catapults you to a whole nother level of a player onto the field. And it is what it is. Whether it's right or wrong, we do that. If you made it to the Super Bowl, you must have been something very exemplary, and we pile all kinds of accolades on those athletes when they get there. And, of course, a lot of monetary things flow with it. Right. And let's face it, it is a business now.
In all fairness to the officials, the way the rules changed this year in the NFL, the interpretation, everybody have a different interpretation of rules. They have to get things together. That's all.
Yeah.
Go down the same street, so to speak,
and stay consistent with that street.
And stay consistent, exactly.
Now, big comment coming here. Might be going out on a limb with this, but this is the part that I see even more pressure coming, and could be actually a backlash as to how games are called and the way things are played. The legalization of sports betting that now is allowed in the states, and that you can go ahead and bet on sports. It's not just Las Vegas where you've got to go to place the bet. Now you can go to Rivers Casino in Pittsburgh.
Go to Mountaineer, go to Wheeling.
And place bets on the games legally.
Right.
Now we're talking, and I do mean this, and the numbers boggle you. We're not talking about the $1 billion that's made by the NFL in selling advertising. We're not talking about the $1 billion that's made by the NFL in the sales of merchandise because of the Super Bowl. We're not talking about the hundreds of millions of dollars made by the host city in money. We are now talking close to $5 to $9 billion in bets that are placed upon that week of the game coming in. And all the side bets and everything that's out there, the prop bets, what have you. All of those are available. And I don't think people understand, when you're talking $5 billion, more money than what the ticket sales are going to bring in, more money than what your advertising sales are going to bring in, that amount of money that's exchanging hands throughout this entire idea of betting, that's going to put a lot of pressure about whether you're going to call the game right, whether you're going to present the game right or not, because that changes everything. Is it right? Is it wrong? Should they have legalized it? Does it put too much pressure out there?
Whether they legalize or not, the NFL was so popular because you could bet illegally for years. It's been going on in this country. You had your local bookie
right
would handle it, and now it's operated by the state,
so that they get a piece of the cut.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's what made the NFL so popular, is the fact that you could go make a wager with your illegal bookie and
well, now that it's legal, Joe Schmo, who never thought, always thought that the word bookie meant something deep, dark, secret, meet in an alley, exchange the money behind some kind of a dumpster and make sure no one ever knows about it, who's never played the betting game, suddenly feels empowered to go ahead and bet. It opens the door for all these folks that have never stepped in to a sports betting field to go ahead and do it. We watched it happen with the online apps that are out there, and how they had their bets being wagered and states began to sue them. They jumped from a nothing business to multi-tens of millions of dollars business within months. That is the power that this has. Bob, it's been there forever. But now with it being opened, wide open for anybody to take part in, the entire populace of the United States at the age of 18 or older is now able to do this. With it being that wide open, how much more dangerous is that to corrupt a player onto the field or an official to do something to change the outcourse of a game?
Well, I think with the money they pay these players, the players really aren't interested in that.
Okay.
The scandals came years ago, and especially in college basketball, where a kid needed extra money, and that he shaved. They called it point shaving, whereas his team was allowed to win, but not by more than, say, 9 points.
Gotcha.
And if he might just miss a layup at the end of the game, That all went into it.
That all went into it.
I don't think with the in pro sports with the money that these guys make, that they're going to be interested in risking, their livelihood over a few $1,000s here or there.
Right. So, but the states are going to love it the more that it's called fair and the more money that they can take off the top and make a take off of everything that's going on with it.
And if you win a certain amount, it has to be reported to the IRS.
So then the federal government takes a piece out of it.
And they get their cut too. With the illegal bookie, you didn't have to worry about that.
Maybe they'll start thriving again once people have to fill out the IRS forms.
They haven't gone away.
They'll never go away.
No.
Well, Bob, we've come up to our half hour of talking sports, and it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll have to find our great missing John Bobolick. He might have been abducted earlier in the day, and we just didn't know about that.
No such luck.
No such luck. If I get a ransom note, don't send it to you, right?
Right.
You got it. Well, hey, for the great Duffy, this is Jason saying thanks for watching one more time. Be sure to join us next Wednesday, 1:30 live. And if you can't do it live, you can tune into YouTube anytime you like. Thanks for all the subscribers out there. Don't forget to leave a comment. Let us know how we're doing and the topics you need us to discuss. So thanks very much for talking sports. Bob, thanks, buddy. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, Jason.
All right, back into the music here live on PNN.